streets of the morning. For conservatives focused on 2016, Benghazi is more than a city in Libya. It's more than a reminder of one of the more hideous attacks on Americans abroad. For some, it's simply a rallying cry against Hillary Clinton. There aren't many conversations on the right, online or on the air, when a Republican idea or political figure is attacked, when the response is not simply Benghazi. It's in that vein that we begin this morning as yet another investigation in the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi puts Hillary Clinton in the spotlight. The report from the Senate Intelligence Committee finds that the attack that killed 4 Americans, including an ambassador 16 months ago, was, quote, preventable, based on the known security shortfalls at the U.S. mission, and hundreds of warnings from the intelligence community about the deteriorating situation in that city. The report says, though the CIA increased security at its annex a mile from the diplomatic mission, the State Department did not. And though the State Department, including Ambassador Stevens, had access to intelligence reports that had warned that militias and terrorist groups had the capability and intent to strike U.S. and Western facilities and personnel in Libya, they chose not to ramp up security. The report also reveals that for the first time, that the ambassador declined 2 specific officers from General Carter Ham, then the head of AFRICOM, in the weeks before the terrorist attacks. And the committee says that the Pentagon was not prepared to respond to the attacks, and in an addendum, Republicans on the Intelligence Committee single out the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin Dempsey, for specific, quote, failures in leadership. The report also notes in chilling detail that the FBI investigation into the attacks has been inhibited by the fact that, quote, as many as 15 individuals supporting the investigation have been killed in Benghazi since the attacks. Think about that. Now, the Senate panel finds no evidence of a cover-up, but not surprisingly, as soon as this report came out, Republicans immediately pounced on Hillary Clinton's role, implying that maybe there was more to it, doing their best to undermine one of her new best assets, that she was widely viewed as a successful Secretary of State, and before Benghazi actually got bipartisan praise for her performance, sometimes at the expense of the president. Of course, all of that was pre-Benghazi. Now, in an addendum to the report, committee Republicans did single out Clinton, saying this, quote, at the end of the day, she was responsible for ensuring the safety of all Americans serving in our diplomatic facilities. Her failure to do so clearly made a difference in the lives of the 4 murdered Americans and their families.
She has ultimate responsibility, Secretary Clinton did at the time, for the security of our personnel. No one has been held accountable to date. Certainly none of the decision makers have. And as she herself says, the buck stops at the top, and she was in charge of the State Department at the time. I think anyone's record when they run for president is going to be carefully examined, and if in fact she decides to run, this is a part of her record that will have, and rightfully so, careful examination.
What Secretary Clinton saw, I don't know. We pounded on the State Department for documents as well as interviews with individuals, and we kind of hit a stone wall with them on that.
It's something that they knew and deliberately tried to make the American people believe something else. That was the cover-up. I can't think of anyone in any of the cover-ups, and I've studied them all in history, that it's more serious than that.
More serious than Watergate?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's, we'll have a lesson in overreach here in a few minutes. But last night, Senator Rubio called for more hearings into the Benghazi attack.
The time has come for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to hold hearings and conduct its own investigation as to why it is that the State Department, knowing what it knew about Benghazi, did not provide sufficient security to keep those people alive.
Democrats, including Intelligence Committee Chairwoman Dianne Feinstein, are defending Clinton.
I do not believe it is a cover-up. I do not believe there was any political manipulation with the statements following the event. I do not believe that, I think there's an effort to blame Secretary Clinton. I think that's most unfortunate. There's no information that I've seen, no intelligence that I've seen, that she knew about it or was advised about it.
Make no mistake, with the latest edition of Time magazine asking, quote, can anyone stop Hillary? When Republicans say they want to get to the bottom of what happened in Benghazi, a better translation is they want questions about Benghazi to seem unanswered so that Hillary Clinton is damaged. They would like Clinton to suffer the media and political firestorm that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is being forced to beat back now. And here's the thing. Anybody who believes the worst about Hillary Clinton right now in this, when it comes to Benghazi, is someone who was never going to vote for her in the first place. The problem for Chris Christie right now is that that's not the same issue. There are people that believe the worst in Christie that actually might have supported him. In our new NBC News Marist poll, it makes that clear. Let's break it down frankly, as the good, the bad, and the borderline ugly. Sticking with our movie theme today. The good news for Christie, a large majority, 69%, say this bridge mess has not changed their opinion of him.